Hi guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I'm Jessica
and I'm Jennifer,
and today we're talking about how we were able to revive damaged hair. So we'll get right into it. So there are different types of damage to the hair. There's heat damage and there's chemical damage. And chemical damage consists of relaxer damage, hair dyes, and other chemicals that we put into our hair that ends up damaging our hair. So when you experience damage to your hair, it is advisable to go to a professional immediately to see what they can do. But these tips that we're giving to you guys are for at-home remedies that you can do to quickly revive your hair. So the first thing that your hair would need once it is damaged is protein. Protein is like food to the hair and it helps to strengthen your hair. You will notice that your hair feels weak and has lost its elasticity once it feels damaged. So you really need to do a protein treatment. Depending on how damaged your hair is, you can do a mild protein treatment if it's not really damaged, but if it is really damaged, you will need to do an intense protein treatment. If you feel like your hair is damaged right now, the first thing you should do is get some products that have protein within it to try. And we have certain recommendations. Our first recommendation is Olaplex. Olaplex is known for being a really good source of protein that helps rebuild your hair after chemical damage. It rebuilds those bonds and it strengthens your hair back to life. A recommendation is actually Olaplex number 3 in particular. Yeah. Besides Olaplex, other recommendations are Aphogee 2-minute Reconstructor, and I have tried this before. This is for mild damage, so it really helps to revive your hair from mild damage. But if you've experienced really bad damage, we'll recommend NEXXUS Emergency, and we'll put these links in the description down below. But NEXXUS Emergency is for people that have experienced really bad damage, and if you actually are nervous about doing it on your own, seek a professional to use it on your hair. So one tip I'm going to stress is once you've actually tried a protein treatment, especially an intense one, do not go in with it again, because your hair, yes, it needs protein, but once you have actually tried it, if you do not notice any notable changes, do not reapply, because this is only going to dry out your hair and break it down even more. The next tip after using protein in your hair when you have hair damage is to go in with moisture. Moisture is key, and people underestimate this because they focus so much on protein, but the next thing you need to do is moisture. Deep conditioners have actually been known to really restore the hair back to its normal state after you've gotten damage. So that means that if you've actually gone a bit hard on the heat or some kind of chemical damage, if you quickly do a deep condition, it would help to restore and recover your hair back to what it was and back to its usual health. So I would suggest you do a moisture deep condition treatment, and you could really go in there with some essential oils. We have a hair growth mix, and I will actually link that video down below. It has a lot of carrier oils and essential oils that are beneficial to the hair. So just putting a few drops of that into your moisture deep conditioner, applying that in your hair, trapping in heat within the moisture treatment for about 45 minutes. You could even keep it on for about an hour. This really helps to restore your hair back to health. So once the deep condition treatment is done, the next step is a strengthening treatment. And this is a step that many people don't really suggest when you have hair damage. After your hair has been protein conditioned and moisture conditioned, then you need to strengthen it. And I would suggest Chebe. We recently did a video on Chebe powder and all of its benefits. I'll link it down below if you want to watch it. But Chebe literally strengthens the tips of the hair, which is where damage really starts to show up. So putting Chebe on the tips, it strengthens it, it helps retain your current length and locks in moisture. Locks in moisture, which is key. So I would suggest that you put in Chebe at the tips of your hair to strengthen it back. Now Chebe is a bit messy and it's actually a long process. If you feel like you don't have time and you really don't want to use Chebe, I would suggest you try the BAGGY method. And this is quite common on YouTube, so you can look it up if you don't really know what the BAGGY method is. But it's a process of locking in moisture at the tips of your hair. So I would suggest you putting in your usual moisturize and seal. You use your moisturizer and then you go in with an oil, and then you actually fold up the tips of your hair. So you either have it sectioned out in braids, or you just pretty much bond the tips of your hair. and you use a plastic bag to trap that heat, and you pretty much wrap that with like a hairband or something around it. But it literally is to trap in moisture at the tips of your hair. You can leave this in overnight, you can leave it in all day while you go about your day, but this is a powerful method of regaining the tips of your hair, of trying to regain the health into the tips of your hair. So the next tip we're going to suggest that we have tried is just leave your hair alone in a protective hairstyle. And this tip is key because the moment you notice damage, your hair doesn't need any more stress. Don't put it in any weaves, in any wigs. Don't put it in long braids. Don't put it in any tight hairstyles, because this is going to cause more strain and stress to your hair. You need to put your hair in a protective hairstyle, preferably with your own hair, with no extensions added. And we will suggest our routine, Chebe routine that we just did. So we just put our hair in 4 plaits and we put Chebe on our hair and we left it alone. So you just have to you have to suck it up and just not have any extensions in your hair so that your hair can rebuild and repair. You could also do cornrows. That's a really good protective hairstyle for your hair, but just actually leave your hair alone. That's key. So the next tip is trimming, and this is the dreaded tip for when your hair is damaged. So if you've gone through all of the steps that we've listed, the moisture dip condition, the protein dip condition, and also the strengthening treatment, and all else has failed, you need to do a big trim. So you would need to go in, and after the tips we've listed, if you've practiced them, you might actually notice that some parts of your hair were restored. So you might have actually seen that you didn't sustain as much damage as you expected. So if you go in there and then you see whatever damage is left, you need to just trim it off. This gives you a clean slate. It allows your hair to be refreshed. It allows for the new growth to come through, but you need to cut off the damage, otherwise it keeps going higher and higher, and then it causes the whole of your hair to be damaged. Once you've done the big trim, you would need to go in once again every 4 to 6 weeks to see if there's any new damage that maybe you missed out or you didn't see, to just go over it and just lightly trim it once again until your hair is actually back to normal and being restored. Guys, you have to actually monitor your hair. When you actually are applying these steps, you have to monitor your hair just to see where you went wrong, but also to be able to restore your hair back. You have to monitor it to see how it's going. So the next tip for restoring damaged hair is vitamins, and this is also another tip that is undermined, but you need to be taking some hair vitamins once you sense any sort of damage, even if it's mild. I actually didn't used to take hair vitamins about a year ago, but once I started taking hair vitamins, I saw a tremendous difference. I actually suffer from uneven hair, and it's actually evened out a lot more now, but it used to be really bad. I had a bad experience at a hair salon where my hair was trimmed with the wrong pair of scissors. They were blunt, and my hair was trimmed unevenly, and since then my hair has never grown even since then. And also the fact that I used to do a parting on my right side, I also used to sleep on my right side, so my right side also generally was just always shorter than my left side. But once I started taking vitamins, I started noticing that areas of my hair that were shorter or thinner were starting to be restored and starting to grow more evenly. Vitamins just restore the overall health of your hair. It helps out wherever you miss out. So I would recommend all the vitamins. We did a video all about this on the vitamins we take. We take collagen, biotin, we take our vitamin C daily, we take MSM as well. So just watch that video and look out for also a good diet that contains iron and contains vitamin E. You guys will actually have to really watch your iron intake, because this really affects how your hair grows and the health of your hair. Like we said in our previous tip, you really have to review your hair regimen and products that you use. So you actually have to watch how often you shampoo your hair. Like we always say, we recommend co-washing, because co-washing allows you to actually retain moisture in your hair and not strip off all the moisture in your hair like shampooing does. So you may actually switch up from shampooing every other week to co-washing in between. You also have to watch out for hard water. This was another thing that popped up with a lot of girls that said they experienced damaged hair. They were using hard water. When we first newly moved into our new place, there was hard water, and Jennifer and I used bottled water to wash our hair. It was that serious until the water became normal again. So you actually have to make sure you're not using hard water on your hair. And also things like blunt shears, you have to make sure you change your shears almost every 6 months to 1 year to make sure that you're not using shears that are actually damaging your hair even further. So do not use blunt shears, and even when you go to a salon, be very careful to make sure you watch what they're using on your hair. And also, detoxes help when your hair is damaged. You can use a clay mask on your hair to help detox your hair as well. And also, lack of knowledge of your hair porosity could be endangering your hair even further when you've seen damage. So it's really good to find out what your hair porosity is so that you could get products that are actually working for your hair instead of against it. So the last tip is prevention is better than cure. You really need to be aware of why there is damage, and most of the time it's our chemicals, it's our hair dyes, and it's our heat. And I would suggest an overall reduction of all of these. If you're using chemicals, try and use it as sparingly as possible. So if you use it every 3 months, try and stretch it out to 6 months. Stretch out those relaxers or chemical treatments as much as you actually can. If you're using your hair dye, I would suggest natural remedies like henna. It doesn't have as much damage or even any damage as the hair dyes would do. And the last one is heat. Honestly, you guys, you will not miss heat. I don't really see any need for heat nowadays. There's so many ways around it. There's so many ways to get your hair straight without heat. So I would suggest that you completely eliminate heat and you will see a difference.
Or lay off it.
Or lay off heat, yes. Yeah. So guys, I hope these tips were helpful to you. We have been able to revive damage in the past, but it wasn't intense damage. So we hope that you can actually try these tips. These tips are at-home remedies, but if you have experienced really bad damage, we'll ask that you seek a professional. So if you've experienced any kind of hair damage, leave it down in the comment section. Let's start a conversation. What did you do to actually revive your hair from the damage? Thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you,
Please don't forget to give a like and leave your comments down below, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye.